Jay here, Stretford, Paddock, and this is Transfers Live.
Just a bit,
How
mate.
happy are you there,
I'm
mate?
giddy.
I tell you what, I love that
excited.
return to my...
Well, Raiola's come up again, hasn't he? Everyone's favourite. He's like the pantomime dame, isn't he? In his big bloomers.
Oh, no, he isn't.
Oh, yes, he is. He is, and he absolutely is. Everyone loves it every time he speaks. You either love him, I mean, you don't love him, you hate him. That's the thing, we love to hate him. Everyone hates him, we can unify in that, and he's talking about Haaland. Fabrizio Romano, remember him from the summer? He's coming out talking about Haaland. Everything's going on.
What else is going on?
Hundreds of stories, Jay.
This is Joe Smith, by the way,
Hello.
in case you don't know, my good friend, Joe Smith. And as he rightly pointed out, we've got Fabrizio Romano talking about Haaland. We've got Mino Raiola talking about Pogba, his favourite topic, and Sir Alex Ferguson. But because we're United fans, we're going to fight back and tell you what Alex Ferguson said about...
Give Fergie a chance to fight back for himself.
Yeah, exactly.
In print form.
Yes, we're also going to be talking about Luke Shaw, who's mint at the minute.
Perfect.
A little bit about some bloke called Sergio, scored a goal against someone. Yeah, whatever.
QPR sounds more like.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about him and the most ridiculous sort of transfer rumour ever, and my old favourite, Ismaila, and get my words out, Sarr, and one or two others as well.
Watford Wonder Boy.
Watford wonderkid, as they say in the fatherland.
I don't know why, but they do.
This is a live show, as you know, because you're watching it. So do give us a like, get involved in the comments, hit subscribe, give us a share and all that jazz. I can see there's quite a few comments already, including one from Ross Murphy, who's given us a super chat. It says, football fan channels unite, RIP Claude. For anyone who doesn't know, Claude from Arsenal Fan TV passed away. Sad news about that came out today. I don't know the details of it, but anyone who's watched a lot of fan channels, watched Arsenal Fan TV. He was a big part of that channel, obviously, and as has been pointed out, you know, it is sad news, and our thoughts go out to his family, and I think, you know, we can all try our best to be kind to one another.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking about not being kind to one another is Mino Raiola, who's not been very kind about Sir Alex Ferguson, has he?
He never is, though. Has he ever been nice about anyone? Have you ever heard him come on the radio, go on an interview, go on TV, and just read some poem or a children's story, or just say something nice, or I like your trainers, something. This man does nothing to endear the world to him. He comes on radio stations, talk sport, whatever it is. He's swearing in this interview. Who is he, Stephen Howson?
Right, kids, it's time for story time.
It's unbelievable.
With Mino Raiola. Uncle Mino's going to tell you a little story.
Every manager's a bastard. It's the same story as every week. Like, Mino, you're better than this, surely. How has he got all of these players? What is he doing behind the scenes, Jay?
I'll tell you exactly what he's doing, Joe. He's making them lots of money, so they love him because, as he's pointed out, I think every time he's in front of a microphone, his priority is to make his players money, and that's what he does, and he doesn't mind if he burns down the village in order to save it. He said here on the graphic, as you can see, when Ferguson criticised me, that was my biggest compliment anyone could give me. Ferguson is used to people coming in and yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. I mean, he is going full pantomime, doesn't it?
Yeah,
three bags full.
Yes, sir, 3 bags full, yeah.
Yeah, so he's saying that. This is all part of a wider interview he's given, and he talks about Pogba and Haaland, and I'll get into that a little bit. But Raiola and Fergie never got on.
No.
But Fergie didn't like Raiola, did he?
Did he ever, Jay?
And you've got some evidence for this. This is what we do on here, right? We don't just go on the internet and just Google. No. We get hard copies.
Do you know what this smells like?
Joe dashed out this morning when he read that story. Went to the library, yeah, because he's got his library card.
Got my library card.
Got his library
and the libraries are open.
Went down there, got his library card out, and got that book out. So make sure you return it within 3 weeks.
Excuse me, madam, or sir. Well,
whatever.
Don't know what you identify as, up to you.
Yeah.
Please, could I have, I don't know, the gospel of the greatest manager of all time? And he went, yes, please. Which one do you want? The first one, or do you want this one? Was
it in the religious section?
It wasn't in the religious section. It was in the non-fiction section though, because what he says is true.
Facts.
And what he said about Mino Raiola, for those of you who want to read along at home.
Go on.
I've never done that before. I've done a few watch-alongs, not many read-alongs. Page 279. Alex Ferguson with Michael Moritz. Don't think he did a lot. Leading.
This is Fergie's third book in his trilogy.
25 quid RRP. And if we're being honest, it was published.
We're not going through everything, are we?
It was published in 2015.
Right,
but these words still stand as true today as they did then.
Resonate strongly.
Yeah. He said, there are 1 or 2 football agents I simply do not like. Mino Raiola, Pogba's agent, is one of them. I distrusted him from the moment I met him. I like that. Judge a man on his first impressions and never change them.
Yeah.
But very similar to my motto, always shoot the messenger. He became Zlatan Ibrahimovic's agent when he was playing for Ajax, and eventually he wound up representing Pogba, who was only 18 years old at the time. We had Paul Pogba under a 3-year contract, and it had 1-year renewal option, which we were eager to sign. Raiola suddenly appeared on the scene, and our first meeting was a fiasco. He and I were like oil and water. From then, our goose was cooked, which is a great saying, thank you, because Raiola had been able to integrate himself with Paul and his family, and the player signed with Juventus. I've got more to go, Jay. Don't look at me like that. This sort of atmosphere makes it hard to establish a close relationship with a player and massively complicates life for a manager. If I felt these people genuinely had the interests of the players at heart, I might feel differently. Players do not understand that. Their lives would be better, both financially and emotionally, if they paid a lawyer on an hourly basis to help them with their contracts. Say no more, Ferguson. Thank you very much.
There you go. I think we've cleared that up.
Oil and water.
Oil and water. I love the fact he's thrown in a load of. It's like we were like oil and water. My goose was cooked.
Yeah.
But you know, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. And honesty is the best policy. That's what I always say. Right, Sir Alex. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other?
Too many Chiefs. Too many cooks. Too many Chiefs. Too many cooks spoil the broth. That was the problem.
Spoil the Chiefs.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I'm blaming Michael Moritz for that flurry of phrases there, but I think the point stands that a lot of people don't like him, and he's been speaking about. Solskjaer, he's been speaking about Pep Guardiola as well, which is a slightly...
Yeah, because there's some slight intrigue here, isn't there, obviously, because obviously Erling Haaland is represented by... Oh, hang on a minute, no, we're going to talk about Paul Pogba in a minute, but Erling Haaland is represented by Mino Raiola, which is giving everyone a headache, because it's giving us a headache, because it means we've still got to deal with him. We've got to deal with him anyway for the Pogba situation, but now we want Haaland, we've got to deal with Mino Raiola. Also, Pep Guardiola's got to deal with Mino Raiola, and Pep Guardiola and Mino Raiola don't get on. Now,
who does he get on with? I bet his wife, or is at home going, I hate him. I only sit with him because he's my agent. Husband and agent. He won't let me go.
Do you reckon they're in separate rooms?
Oh, definitely.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you know
they
what I mean?
fax each other.
I reckon
they hate.
They hate each other. Well, they just stayed together because of the kids.
Yeah. The kids being Paul Pogba, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Erling Haaland.
They've got like
what
joint
would Zlatan
custody.
Say if you knew we'd broken up?
Come on, not when they're arguing, not in front of Paul, not in front of Pogba.
You can see him every other weekend.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Have you paid your CSA yet? I don't think you have. Mino Raiola talking about Guardiola says, "I don't give a fuck." Right?
Why does he get away with this? You can't just swear in interviews. Throwing away 100 years of media convention here.
Look, I know everyone hates him. I'd love to interview him.
Oh,
imagine interviewing him and saying, Guardiola don't get on. I don't give a fuck. What?
It'd be great to get on the channel.
Yeah,
I imagine.
If you are watching me now, I know we've called you every name under the sun, but we are open to chatting to you on the channel. I don't give a fuck if I never do another player with Man United. I'm not in their hands. I'm independent. Guardiola, I've closed the book a long time ago. Everyone knows what I think of him personally. He can say what he thinks for me personally.
This is Mino Raiola on Guardiola?
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah. So he's not too mad about United, not too keen on Sir Alex Ferguson, and isn't a fan of Pep Guardiola. I mean, that's what happens when you are just almost untouchable as an agent.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't need Guardiola to like him. He doesn't need United to like him. He's got a player who everyone would want and everyone will deal with him despite hating him, because Erling Haaland is such a phenomenal talent. And also Paul Pogba as well. If Paul Pogba does move from Manchester United, no one's going to look at Paul Pogba and go, I'm not going to get him because of Mino Raiola, are they?
It's only fans that think like that.
Nah.
And I think it's understandable why we do, because he causes no end of trouble. But clubs, they don't really think like that. They think, great player, oh, it's Raiola the agent. Oh, fuck's sake, so what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think, Juve aren't going to not sign Pogba, Madrid aren't going to not sign Pogba because Raiola's his agent. One interesting thing in there for me is what he says about Pep Guardiola, because the rumours are, or one of the rumours is, that Erling Haaland, or City really want Erling Haaland, and we'll get to Aguero a bit later on, but obviously it's been announced in the last couple of days that he will be leaving Manchester City at the end of the season. And one of the things I liked about that was there was a tweet by Sky Sports saying, Aguero set for emotional goodbye at the end of the season. It's like, how do you know it's going to be emotional? It hasn't happened yet. He might just go like, bye. Bye now then. Who knows what he's going to do? You can't tell me it's going to be emotional before it's happened.
I hope they give him a better send-off than they give Manuel Pellegrini. Do you remember that one?
What was that?
12 people there.
Yeah.
And then the our second title in 70 years, whatever it was.
The Tannoy at the stadium went, goodbye Manuel. a really long dribbling fart noise played by accident.
Yeah.
They're like, oops.
That's the sort of disdain he had for.
He won in the league.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like loads of people had won in the Premier League.
Point,
he was literally the second man who'd ever delivered the Premier League trophy to the Etihad, and like they couldn't be bothered to get involved in traffic at the end of the game. Like, we could wait and give him a send off, but.
We know we've got Pep anyway.
Oh, come on, should we just get off?
Yeah.
I'm not being funny, but Saturday night takeaway starts soon. If we hurry, we can get there in time for it.
So
Sky Plus it.
Talking about Raiola here then, and he's talking. I closed the book on Pep Guardiola years ago.
Yes.
Does that suggest to you, or does that give you a feeling that he won't want to send Haaland to City? Because
the only thing.
What else could he mean by that? What's he talking about there?
Yeah, no. The idea is that him and Guardiola don't get on. It's not an idea. It's a fact.
Yeah.
And the sort of thinking is, well, that could scupper the Haaland deal. Now, I don't think that is the case.
Right.
I still think that Guardiola, who is losing Aguero, who knows what a phenomenal talent Haaland is, and let's face facts as well. Guardiola doesn't need to sit in a room with Mino Raiola.
No.
They've got to Kyrgyzstan to sort the transfers out. He's not going to go, oh no, I've got to go and see Raiola again. Go round to his house and sit in his front room and hate him. It's just well awkward. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not going to happen. Like, that player can move from Dortmund to City with Raiola and Guardiola never speaking.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, this isn't like Stretford Paddock FC, where you've got one man doing all the transfers.
Stephen Howson.
It's like, from what I gather, City have quite a few people that work for them. So it's not like Guardiola goes, I want that player. Right, better ring. Mino, can I come round and sort this out? No. It's going to be dealt with. So I don't think that is an issue.
Do you think he knows what he's doing there, though? Do you think that's a purposeful sort of red herring there by Raiola, by saying, Pep Guardiola, I don't touch him. The book's closed. Do you think he's purposefully saying that to sort of guide people to thinking, well, that means he won't send one of his clients under Pep's sort of management? Or do you think he's literally just, in his head, the idea of a Haaland transfer to City has no bearing on his relationship with Pep? Do you think he knows what he's doing there? Because obviously that's stirring people, seen it online, we're obviously talking about it, into saying that means Haaland won't go to City. Or do you think he's, it's not even entered his head that that's what he's doing? Because he does like to provoke, doesn't he, Raiola?
I think he's a bit of a man baby. And I think they've had a spat in the past, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think one of them called the other one a dog and a coward. I can't remember which one way round it was, and I'm not that
coward
bothered.
dog.
So he's a dog and a coward.
Wow.
I don't think dogs are cowardly.
No.
I think they're quite brave.
It's a bit Grease, isn't it, as well? You, Danny Zuko, you dog and you coward. Wish I'd never laid eyes on you.
Very sort of, PG rated.
Yeah. This man's a dog and a coward. And a ruddy great scoundrel.
It sounds like something out of Dickens.
This is a man who's willing to say fuck in a media interview.
Yeah.
And he's just calling people a coward and a dog.
Cad, you bounder.
You dog.
Yeah.
Like, I'm watching kids' TV because there's no swearing in it.
Because apparently they fell out when Ibrahimovic was at Barcelona. There was some sort of thing going on there. Guardiola didn't get on with Ibrahimovic.
He came in and got rid of him, didn't he?
Yeah, Raiola's very much pro his players, as we've established, so he backed Ibrahimovic. Guardiola was Mr. Untouchable, so he doesn't have to get on with the agent. He's got Messi, he's got Xavi, he's got Iniesta, pretty much do what he wants. So them two clashed. Raiola's carrying that on, which is what he does. He's very sort of holds on to a grudge. I don't think it has any bearing. I think the only sort of bearing on whether Haaland goes to City is whether City go all out for him. If City would say, we want Erling Haaland, we're going to pay whatever it takes to get him, I think they'll get him. Personally, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I don't think I don't think that Raiola's relationship with Guardiola is going to stop a potential Haaland deal. If they say, A, we'll either wait till next summer, get him for 72 million, or B, we'll go this summer and basically buy a year of his contract plus the buyout clause for around 110, 20, 30 million, whatever it is. If they go to Dortmund and say that, and Dortmund say yes, there's no way Raiola sort of jumps in front of it and goes, no, he's not going anywhere. Haaland's packing his bags and Raiola's tearing up his passport. We're not going to see any of that. If they pay up the money, he'll be just as likely to go there as he would a different club. I'm not saying that it's certain he'll go there, because hopefully United can be part of that picture as well. But I don't think that will stop that deal,
No, I agree. Get involved in the comments, let us know what you think. Do you think Erling Haaland will end up going to Manchester City? Do you think there's still hope that Manchester United can get him? Do you think that we should just deal with Mino Raiola, or do you think that he's too...
Toxic.
Toxic, great word,
toxic
to have any dealings with. Excuse me.
Bloody hell, what you been
Sorry,
eating?
I've been on too much Pepsi Max Jammy. That's what that is. Some people know. Bit windy pops. Get involved in the comments, let us know what you think. Cameron S says, courage is a cowardly dog. Stephen Gilcraft, Stephen Gilcariff, says Donny and 80 million if we are lucky, plus to give Raiola 30 million as per. I think he's talking about a deal we could make. I don't think that'll happen. Paul Lucas says Raiola will do business with anyone who gives millions, and I agree. I think money talks. I'd love to say, that's it. Haaland to City's off. But I just don't see it. Jack Carter in the super chat says new camera angle equals class.
Good lad.
Jay looking adoringly at Joe.
Give us a camera angle. Bosh. I've been working on this camera angle with Cam, with the TV, with the graphics guy upstairs all afternoon. I'm glad you're appreciating it. Appreciating it.
New word.
Glad you're liking it. And this way we can see both me and Jay as we look into each other's eyes, like you said.
I think this is going to be an absolute shock to all our viewers to learn that I don't tend to get involved in the technical side of things. I don't even know how to turn the cameras on. I don't know what lights to use. I don't know anything. I just get told to literally stand in that box that we've drawn on the floor for you and talk those words.
There is literally a COVID-safe box on the floor that we stand in.
And even that is like, you have to remind me, stand in that box, Jay. Jay, you in your box? Yeah, right, go on. So, well done to Joe and producer Cam, because they deserve the credit for that, because I've literally done nothing towards that whatsoever.
What's up next, Jay?
Also, just before we get off Raiola, he has spoken about Paul Pogba. As he always does. You can see on the graphic there. I mean, this never ends, right? Wasn't long ago that Mino Raiola said he wasn't going to talk about Paul Pogba anymore because you remember when we went into the Leipzig game, Raiola, just on the eve of the game, the biggest game of the season, came out and said that, Pogba was basically going in the summer, which was just completely unnecessary. Came out, criticised Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well, didn't he? It was just a bit of a mess, and everyone was
we
like...
lost that game 3-2.
Like, why do that? You don't need to do that.
A draw would have put us through. And he comes out like 3 days before. It was the Monday, wasn't it?
It was the Monday. We played on the Tuesday, didn't we?
Something ridiculous.
It was the Monday, definitely.
Yeah, because I remember being in it.
And I remember Steve doing that video. So it was either the Tuesday or the Wednesday we played. I've got a feel it was a Tuesday, but I might be wrong.
Incredible.
And he came out and just started causing trouble.
Because apparently that interview had been recorded a week or so before, hadn't it?
Yeah.
But he will have known when he recorded that.
Yeah, it's embargoed till or going to get released on a certain day. Or even
just that United, it was going to be the week of United in a must-not-lose game to go through in the Champions League.
If I come to you and I say, I want to do an interview with you, then you're within your right to say, I'll do the interview, but can you not release it until...
Yeah,
and I said, well, not doing that. Well, you're not having the interview then.
Yeah.
So, of course, they could have said,
Mino Raiola is a man that is going to be offered interviews no matter what because of his status. Of
course.
Like, he didn't have to do that. Anyway, what's he been saying about Paul Pogba this time?
Talking about Paul Pogba, he says, Pogba has fantastic appeal worldwide. I heard from MUFC that he's appreciated, also from Solskjaer's side. Today, if someone asked me, can you find a club for Paul? I could take my nephew of 5 years and find a club for Paul at a high level. I wish we had a graphic that said Raiola slams 5-year-old nephew as clear and obvious idiot. My nephew of 5 years. What was he doing before he was your nephew? He's 15 years old, but he's my nephew of 5 years. I never really talked to him. Then I transferred him in from my cousin. Like, what are you on about? He became my client. Very much. We had a family sit down. I suppose what he could do is if Raiola had got a new girlfriend, and that was the girlfriend's sister's kid. Yeah. He could have got a new nephew. He could have, because it does seem a weird way to phrase it. I would naturally say, my 5-year-old nephew. Yeah. Not my nephew of 5 years. Yeah. I don't know. Because a lot of people who, when English isn't their first language, will say stuff like, I've been in the Premier League because of 5 years or of 5 years. Like, it's a slightly different phrasing. But my nephew of 5 years is very much like he's putting a time limit on the nephew element of the child itself. Cowardly dogs and nephews of 5 years. Yeah. It's like almost Shakespearean. Yeah. So. But he's saying there, any old bastard will buy Paul Pogba off me. He had a go, didn't he? To work for it. Remember when he had a go at Paul Scholes, saying, imagine Scholes trying to get rid of Pogba. He'd have many sleepless nights, and I thought, that doesn't even make any sense. No. He's a very strange man. He keeps saying these things. He doesn't need to, right? I think personally Paul Pogba's going to go in the summer. People may disagree. But I think if Paul Pogba does go, there will be suitors for him. Yeah. I think he's done enough already, not just this season, but in his career, but especially this season as well. You can see what talent he is, and I think people will come in for him. I think teams will come in for him. I don't think he needs this circus to get a move. I don't think Raiola needs to do this. No. I think it's just almost his natural way. And I think what it is as well is, like, do you know how, like, he's almost like an influencer. Do you know, like, people go into Love Island, and all of a sudden you've got like a persona that you have to uphold, or you have someone that will be on a reality TV show or whatever. People that are sort of thrust into fame and then try to cultivate a personality around that. It's like he's picked the villain character. Yeah.
And to keep his stock high, to keep other potential suitors, other potential clients interested, he has to come out and be the dickhead and come out and say these controversial statements all the time. It's like he's like declared himself the sort of Slytherin of
my missus will like that
agents.
reference. In our house, everyone's Slytherin apparently.
He's like, we're the kind of the villain, but at the same time we're very powerful. Like, I've got Zlatan, I've got Haaland, I've got Pogba, but I'm going to be a dickhead as well, when there's really no need for me to be. But I think all of that is attracting new clients, making people aware of who he is, how he works, and if he wants to get, he's never getting Ronaldo off of Mendes, I don't think, but if he wants to get Messi or whoever the next few big stars are, Mbappe, whoever, he needs his stock to be high as an agent, and he does that by being this divisive figure that always comes out and has to say some bullshit like, my nephew of 5 years could get Paul Pogba moved to Juventus.
Apparently, Donny van de Beek has scored for Holland against the mighty Gibraltar.
Oh.
So automatically there'll be calls now for him to go straight into the United side for this weekend's game against Brighton. Holland 6-0 up. And there you go. Miss Man United has got in the chat because you mentioned Slytherin. Everyone in our house. He's Slytherin. I'm not though. I'm
Hufflepuff.
No.
Ravenclaw.
What's the man? The Harry Potter one.
Gryffindor.
Yeah, I'm that.
Gryffindor, more like. You like Harry Potter, mate, nerd.
It's called Harry Potter.
Nah.
So why not going to follow his team?
That's a good point, actually.
Do you know what I mean? What's the matter with you? Why be a bit part player?
Yeah, all the main characters are in Gryffindor, and then we're meant to believe that anyone wants to be a Ravenclaw.
And what's the other one? Huffle. Yeah.
Huffleflump.
Huffle Muppets.
Yeah.
Any Huffle
Muppets
people are watching. This is an inclusive channel, and I apologise for that comment.
Yeah.
Abhishek Paddy says, Neto balling tonight, 2 assists, could be the one. Would you have him? I don't know why I did that. Could be the one. Balling, it was a balling, it went to me head, the balling.
It's the Gryffindor in you, I think. Minus 20 house points for being a knobhead.
Yeah, typical Slytherin.
That's me when I'm fucking Dumbo.
Go and dye your hair white. Clown.
Oh, I should do, shouldn't I? Dye my hair full white. Why are we talking about Harry Potter so much? We
need to get off
pretend
this
we haven't
because
seen it.
Yeah.
Cool kids wouldn't have seen it.
Kids with sticks. Well, I watched that. I'm 41 years old.
The only kids with sticks I want to see are, documentaries about Victorian times where they're knocking a little wheel down the road with it. Something I don't fucking know. Knowledge and the past and that.
Dan James has scored for Wales as well.
God bless.
So there you go. Dan James and Van der Beek. Get them in the side for Brighton because logic. They score for Wales. And Holland will score for United this weekend.
Big game for Wales, that, isn't it? It's kind of a must-win for them, I think. Well, not a must-win, but I think if they want to get back into good standing in that group, they need to score.
Right, well, Dan James is on the case. Don't worry about it. He's got you covered.
Good.
Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Paul Pogba swap. A swap deal. I think this is what Baggers had this morning, didn't he? In his news outside at Old Trafford. Juve want Dybala Pogba swap deal. We've spoken about this a few times, so we'll just talk on it briefly and then we'll move on. Can I just say, Steve Jarvis in the chat says Raiola is a Huffle Muppet.
Yeah, nice. Absolute Huffle Muppet.
That'll teach him. Do you see it happening? Do you want it to happen, Paulo Dybala? We speak about this quite a lot because it keeps coming up. He was linked with us a few seasons ago. It looked like it was going to happen. Apparently wages was a sticking point. We didn't get him. He's still at Juve. Juve want Paul Pogba. We don't really want Paulo Dybala, but would we take him? Just because it's a swap deal, I think could happen.
The chances of swap deals are going up. There was a long time where you could basically stand by the point of the only reason a swap deal is being mentioned is to get both of those players' names in the newspaper. Both of those players' names on a web article that would get more clicks because it's got, Ronaldo and Pogba, or Mkhitaryan and Sanchez in the same deal.
Yeah.
But I think with the sort of what almost feels like a kind of a final crescendo of transfer fees to me. I think a mixture of what was an unsustainable growth in the first place, plus COVID, means I don't think we're going to be seeing 150 million for Mbappe, 200 million for Neymar, 140 million for Griezmann after add-ons, 150 million for Dembele after add-ons. I don't think we're going to be seeing deals like that as much anymore.
No.
So I think the concept of a swap deal for these clubs who have basically backed themselves into corners in terms of what players are worth, I think we will actually see more and more swap deals as the years go on. Because, look at United at the minute, reporting operating losses of 20 million or whatever it was for last year, which is unheard of for Manchester United.
Steve was talking about but taking a loan just to do the day-to-day running of the club.
And another thing that happened last year as well, it was Was it Rakitic and... No, it wasn't. It was Artur and Pjanic. Pjanic went from Juventus to Barcelona. Artur went from Barcelona to Juventus. In what was essentially a swap deal, but they both reported it as a £60 million sale and purchase. So you could write off the £60 million that you've supposedly spent as a tax, get that tax back before the end of the year, but not write off the purchase money until next year. Like, all weird, dodgy shit that goes on. I think a similar thing happened with, was it Cancelo and Danilo? Juventus and City. I can't remember exactly. There's a swap deal that was involved there as well, but maybe those sorts of things will happen more, where you get sort of reported fees, but really it was a swap deal for tax purposes or for declaring money purposes. But I do think this sort of thing is more likely. In terms of Dybala specifically, I don't want Dybala at Manchester United. He's a player that has been not on the periphery at Juventus because he has played a lot of games, but hasn't got the best injury record, doesn't play every single week for Juventus, and isn't the player that we all hoped he would be. I think he 24 now? He's not 18, 19 anymore.
27.
Fuck off.
So I know. Seriously.
Paulo Dybala is 27.
Yeah.
Get no chance.
He's literally.
Who wants that? He's literally. He's 1 year younger than Paul Pogba. He's my age.
I mean, his record. I mean, I know. I'm going against what I sort of say because stats don't tell you everything.
No.
And obviously, he's played alongside Cristiano Ronaldo, which kind of skew-ifs a lot of things because it's like it's the Ronaldo show. But he's got 2 in 11 in the Serie A this season, 11 in 33 last season, 5 in 30 the season before. So he's around the 1 in 4, 1 in 3 range, which is roughly what overall the likes of Marcus and Martial are kind of on. If you sort of stretch out their careers, they're around 1 in 3 in terms of goals. I know it's a lot more with assists and stuff, especially for Marcus. So it's kind of similar numbers to what we're used to. But again, he's 27, coming into the Premier League. And almost, you think that 3 seasons ago, it made a lot more sense than it does now.
Yeah.
When he was linked with us 3 seasons ago, I think he just had a 22-goal season. So it was like he's flying, he was 24, so he's quite young. Oh yeah, he's come at United, he could be the player that sort of fits into all his system or whatever. That deal, from what we gather, almost happened, but wages were a sticking point. And I think United were thinking this is another Alexis Sanchez scenario where you've got a player who don't want to be here, but he'll come here if you give him $500,000 a week or whatever. Didn't happen, and now it would be a similar thing in the sense of you'd have a player who didn't really want to come here but was coming because Juventus wanted Pogba. I'm not going to say past his best because that sounds ridiculous for a 27-year-old, but his best season was 3 seasons ago. Yeah. And now we're getting into the Premier League.
Consistently better.
No. Yeah. So you're taking a massive gamble here. You're hoping that
and in the meantime,
he's going to be better than he almost ever was.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Marcus Rashford is having a better season than he's ever had, and has consistently got better over the last 3 years, Marcus Rashford. Yeah. You've also got Bruno Fernandes who's come in, who is having as good a season as any midfielder has ever had, let alone, Paulo Dybala. So, like you said, 2 or 3 years ago, that made sense. Now, it makes no sense. We need a striker or a winger, right-hand side player, not a left-hand side player or attacking midfielder, which is where he generally occupies. So for me, if we're going to get rid of Paul Pogba, we've got to get someone who is as important to this team as Paul Pogba is. He has to be one of the first names on the team sheet, whoever we swap for Paul Pogba, whether that be, it would have to be someone like Cristiano Ronaldo or maybe De Ligt or, someone of that ilk if we're going to be swapping Pogba for him.
World-class superstar.
Yeah, a world-class player that comes in and improves the first 11, not just gets a game, doing the Juan Mata role.
Paulo Dybala could come into this United team, right?
Yeah.
And he could have a few bad games in his first month and people would be like, what have we done here? Yeah. That's the end. Because there's not enough in the bank for you to go, don't worry about him.
He's a certainty.
Like if De Ligt came in and had a shocker, you'd go, don't worry. We know what he's capable of. If Ronaldo came in and had a sting, you'd be, don't worry, he's Cristiano Ronaldo, he's going to be fine.
And even if he's fading, he'll still get you 20 goals a season.
You don't need to panic. He could come in and you could be really like, this is another Sanchez.
Yeah, he's got 6 goals in 40 games.
Yeah, he's not up to the job. Yeah. Do get involved in the chat. Let us know what you think about the potential Dybala, Pogba swap deal. Give us a like as well. Hit that like button. We've got quite a lot of people watching. Barely any likes, man. People say, don't beg for likes. Why not? Give us some likes.
Oh, beg for likes. Yeah. So let's see if we can get to 700 likes.
If we get to 700 likes in the next 2 minutes, he's going to dye his hair white and call himself he who shall not be named. Malfoy, yes. Malfoy. He's always got a scowl on him, that little weasel. Right, Cameron S says it would be an Angel Di Maria signing.
I don't think it would be as good as that. I don't think he would get us 10 assists in the season.
And I don't think you'd have the excitement and the hype. When Di Maria came, I was buzzing.
Di Maria was fresh off the back of being man of the match in La Decima, like the 10th Real Madrid, the most anticipated Champions League win of all time, basically, except obviously for United fans, United games. He was the man of the match in that game against Atletico. And then he comes to United and started fantastically. First few games were like undoubted class.
One of the players, I think he might have been playing a month or United's playing a month, whatever, in the first few games. And I actually thought, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but I thought, this is Ronaldo levels.
Yeah.
This is it. This is a guy who gets the
ball,
ball
world-class player
in his own half and takes it to their box.
Yeah.
He's got, he's got that X factor.
And he carried on being a top class player after he left Man United.
Yeah.
What happened? Some of the things were off the pitch. Some of the things were Van Gaal's style of play. But Di Maria wasn't. In terms of how he actually performed, he was certainly a flop in. He only lasted a year. He fell out. He didn't work. He didn't like the city. He didn't like the culture of that. He was certainly a flop. But in terms of how he played week to week, he was nowhere near the worst player in that team.
No.
He was one of the better players in that team, but he just wasn't where we thought he would be. And obviously he left in sort of
ways. I think, I know I keep going on about this, and me and you spoke about it extensively, but we want to have this conversation about how a player feels, their mental well-being and all that sort of stuff. And if you're in a different country, you're in a different city, you're not really keen on him anyway, your house gets burgled, I think, is what happened to him. That's going to play on your mind.
And by the sound of it,
And like, I'm not making excuses, because like, post his United career, his missus has said some pretty horrible things, which has made us all hate him a little bit. And, he got a lot of stick when he came back to Old Trafford and all that sort of stuff. But I do feel a little bit for him, because I get that. If I was at work and I didn't feel like my family was safe, I'd struggle to do my job. Do you know what I mean? Especially if, it's a new place, a new town, new country and whatnot. Yeah. And I think we all just went, well, 67 million quid. That's not how life works. No. Just because you cost lots of money doesn't mean you don't get stressed out. No. So I do feel a little bit for him, though I don't like the way he's sort of gone about it.
If he'd have cost 5 million more, he wouldn't have been less stressed. Yeah. Like, it doesn't, like, bit more money, bit less stress.
Oh, now I'm not stressed anymore because I'm 75 million quid or whatever. No. Mr. T in the Super Chat, thanks for your Super Chat. Shall we move on a little bit?
Let's move on a little bit.
A little bit.
If you don't mind.
We're going to Erling Haaland still.
Oh, yeah.
But this time it's
Fabrizio. This is the big one.
This is
and
Fabrizio.
Now we're talking about United. In the words of Mino Raiola, fuck Manchester City and Pep Guardiola.
Fuck City.
Yeah. Let's talk about Haaland coming to United.
Fuck City, yeah.
The theatre of dreams. Ever heard of it, mate?
Yeah, mate. What? City? Yeah. Behave yourself.
Piss off.
Romano's been speaking, I think, on his latest podcast. Sorry, can we just get that up on the screen? I've just lost that.
Yeah, it should be on there. If you can get it.
Yeah. It says, let's see what happens with Manchester United. For sure, Solskjaer wants him, but it's not easy to sign him this summer because the release clause is valid from the next one. So you have to deal with Borussia Dortmund, and to negotiate with Borussia Dortmund won't be easy. Right, for starters, we're going to get Romano on the Tier 1 podcast in probably a few weeks' time, just to get nearer to the transfer window. We are getting him on. I spoke to him. We're going to get him on, and we're going to get him to talk about all that jazz.
Your mate now, isn't he?
Fab.
Yeah. Would you say he's the person you are closest to that has the most Twitter followers? So sort of follower to relationship ratio, he's got like 2.3 million. So bear that in mind.
He's got 2.3 million, but I'm not remotely close to him.
Well, you're not, no, but are you 10 times, are you 20 times closer to Steve than you are to Fabrizio Romano?
Yeah, a lot more. I've had
20 times, though?
I've had more conversations with Steve today than I've ever had with Fabrizio Romano in my
20
life.
Times more followers
so I don't know how that works. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I've spoken to Fabrizio Romano. We had him on the channel, I think, 3 times. Twice, is it? So like, exaggerate.
Yeah, Google
5, loads of times. I can't even remember that many times.
Yeah.
And we do chat on messages now and again, but I'm not his mate, and I'm not going to pretend.
You wouldn't invite him to your wedding?
It'd be proper weird if I did.
Imagine.
And it'd be slightly embarrassing when he was like, I'm sorry, Jay, I can't make your wedding because I barely know you.
Yeah. Fabrizio, I want you to do the vows.
Kind of weird you're asking me.
And instead of saying, you may now kiss the bride, he just says, here we go. I now pronounce you man and wife. And Jay, here we go.
I'd kiss him
and then
if he did that.
Interlocked.
Never mind kissing Mrs. I give Fabrizio Romano a kiss. No, I mean, he's got probably more followers, but I don't even think he follows me. That's how close we are.
Okay.
So, do you know what I mean?
Well, let's talk about what he's been saying then, shall we?
Yes.
Because
he's been obviously talking about Erling Haaland, sort of indicating that this could happen. United have got to deal with Dortmund. That will be easy. We know last summer, we had a bit of a drama with Dortmund because they wanted loads of money for Jadon Sancho. And we were like, why would we give you lots of money for a really good footballer? That's not what we do.
I wonder if United look back at last summer and think that was the chance. Even though we may be worth less this summer, we may have to pay 90 or 80 or whatever.
Yeah.
in terms of the money United were bringing in, we hadn't lost as much due to COVID at that time because it had only been happening for about 3 or 4 months. At the point that we would have signed Sancho if it had happened. There's now been sort of 12 months, what will be around 18 months of COVID-related issues by the time this summer rolls around. I wonder if the way that the books work, often it's not like this year is this, it's like a sort of previous year, isn't it? So I wonder if the chance for us to do a signing of a Sancho or a Haaland magnitude would have been better last summer. Again, though, what he's saying there, and this sort of echoes what's been said by a few journalists at this point, a lot of people, it doesn't seem to be any sort of secret that Haaland is coveted by Ole, that Ole wants to sign Haaland. And the fact that he's saying it again now means that hasn't changed, which, in light of some of the stuff that's been said over the last few months, you wouldn't have been too shocked to hear United's Haaland interest has gone, or United have decided to move a different way, or that Ole admits that he can't sign. That doesn't seem to be the case because Romano is still saying it. He's still saying Ole wants Haaland. If they want him, they're going to have to go through Dortmund, which, as we know, like you said from last summer, isn't an easy task. But to me, this still seems like a possibility, and I don't think Romano would be saying it the way he's saying it if it wasn't. Do you think that? Do you think he's just saying that for the sake of saying it, or do you think he thinks United do genuinely want him, United will genuinely go after?
I think there's definitely something there because of the way that Ole speaks about Haaland. He still talks about him, in conversations with him. He obviously rates him. He has that relationship with him from when they were at Molde together. Haaland is a phenomenal striker. We have tried to get strikers. We have got strikers in Odi Nagalo and Edinson Cavani. So it's not like Ole's against the idea of bringing players in. No. And those have been stopgaps.
He clearly wants a long-term main
so Haaland makes so much sense. The problem is the transfer fee. And it really annoys me that we didn't make this deal when he was at Salzburg, was it? Yeah, because it was like, we could have got him then, and people go, well, he would have had that buyout clause because apparently that was something that Raiola set up. And
they wanted, wherever he moved to, had to put a buyout clause in his contract.
And United were like, no, but we would have had 2 seasons out of him, potentially. And during those 2 seasons, if you put Haaland in this team this season, we're in a right title challenge. Not the one we had for a month or a fortnight at the top of the table. We're like right on City's heels, if not even above him. And that might sound silly, but you're putting in a player who could potentially this season have been on 20 goals.
Yeah, and even if you take away, let's say you take away Cavani's goals. Yeah. Or you add him on. That's an extra 13 goals this season.
13 goals, that could be, another 7 or 8 points, whatever. That's us neck and neck with City. Yeah. And okay, he might move on. Did you mind that Robbie Van Persie only really played 1 full season for Manchester United and won us title number 20? Yeah. No. When we bought Van Persie, we weren't going, why are we buying him?
Yeah, he hasn't got 10 years left in the tank.
Well, that's a silly. Just getting 1 title out of him. Yeah. I'd happily say that right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm really gutted we didn't make that deal happen. I think it was
here's the other thing that could have happened. We could have renegotiated a new contract for him. Yeah. We could have gone, and this summer he could have signed an extension or a new deal that would have got rid of that buyout clause. Yeah. So it's not even certain that he would have to have left. If he'd have won a title this season, we could have gone. Your buyout clause becomes active next season. We want to tear that contract up, sign this new one without a buyout clause in it, and we could have done that.
And what would the sort of the winning the league or being in the title race, getting to the last stage of the Champions League, what would that do in terms of revenue? I know you're not getting fans in the gate, but you're getting all the sort of the marketing and all that other stuff and the revenue from those organisations as well, the Premier League and the Champions League. It's just ridiculous for me that we didn't get him. I think we should have done it, but such it is. And now I don't think it will happen. But we're obviously still in the hunt. Sam J in the super chat says, best comedy duo since Bill and Ben. I don't know who he's talking about there. Talking about us.
Flower Pot Man.
I vaguely remember. How do you know about Bill and Ben?
Came back a little bit in the 2000s.
Really?
Yeah. With players like that, it's a good point you made there. I've never really thought of it like that because with footballers, and sorry for being slightly macabre with this, but do you know when you die, and you imagine when was it, 2014?
Yeah, and what?
When you die,
so everyone,
and you can imagine a world after you've died, and it's sad, and you think, oh, what happens when you die? What does it feel like? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But you never imagine a world before you were alive. Like, what did that feel? It didn't feel like anything. You didn't feel anything. Yeah. Nothing existed. There's no memory. There's no emotion or texture to pre-existence. That's what football players are like. If a player joins Man United at 34, you don't go, oh, we shouldn't get him because 12 years ago he did this or he did that, or look at all the goals he scored for other clubs, it doesn't matter. But if a player comes to United at 22, like Ronaldo, or 17 and then leaves at 22 or 3, you look at him afterwards and you go, all the goals he scored for other clubs, they could have been for us. It's like, just because it's at the other end of the career doesn't make it any different.
Yeah.
So 2 years of Van Persie, just because it's at the end of his career, isn't really different to 2 years of Erling Haaland just because it's at the start of his career.
It isn't,
but you sort of think of it differently, like any moment after you left me is way different to any moment before you arrived. But really, just think of it as a moment where you had a player and then you didn't. It doesn't have to be this like jilted bride or Erling left after 2 years. Like you said, he could have won us some trophies in this time.
I mean, everyone hates Carlos Tevez, United fans, because he went to City and the whole, you know, R.I.P. Fergie and all that shite.
Well,
but he still won us the Champions League.
Yeah.
Owen Hargreaves won us the Champions League.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Now, if you could go back in time and buy those players again, would you say no?
Yeah.
No, I know what's going to happen here. They're going to end up at City, or you know, he's going to get loads of injuries, Owen Hargreaves. But in the meantime, he's going to win you a title and the Champions League. Of course you'd do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So even if Erling Haaland left us and, you know, went to someone we don't like, or...
Even say City.
Yeah, he went to City,
Yeah.
or he went to Scousers, God forbid, whatever. But he moved on and scored those goals elsewhere. We could still have had the title out of it. We could still be on 21 titles now. We could still won loads of trophies. And you're telling me he wouldn't have got us over the line in one of those 3 semi-finals last season?
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
If nothing else, we'd have a Europa League or an FA Cup.
I love Odion Ighalo, but come on, it's not the same. You go in Erling Haaland or a player who went 17 games without scoring a goal in the Premier League 2 years ago. And we all got behind him because United fans were like, listen, he signed for us and he's lovely. Do you know what I mean? His Insta stories were so cute.
Beautiful.
Beautiful trees, and here's me in my pyjamas with my kids in front of the Christmas tree. Aww. But he's not even remotely the same class as Erling Haaland. So it is a bit annoying that we didn't go for him. But, you know, hopefully, hope against hope, we'll get him in the summer. But I doubt it. We'll have to wait and see.
I think there's a chance. I know Steve's not particularly confident, but I don't necessarily buy into this idea.
It was like
I think we caught him on a bad day yesterday.
Yeah. Me and you were on the podcast with Steve.
Yeah.
And I love listening to Steve when he's on one. I do, I'm not going to lie. But it was like... He was not having any of it as well as getting a big transfer.
Check it out if you didn't see it. Check out the Paddock podcast from yesterday. It's a really good watch.
And he did a great Andy Glazer
rant.
But me and you were like, and it went from like, I went from sort of saying, no, we are going to sign someone, to, well, we could sign someone.
Just like that.
Yeah, because he's like,
well, in a way, if we get Jesse back, it's like a new signing.
Yeah.
Like I was at that point by the end of it.
It was very difficult to sort of, and I get where he's coming from because the Glazers are parasites, and I have no faith in them. I just still feel that we are going to make, I think, one marquee signing. I just cannot see us not doing it. But we'll wait and see. We'll keep us posted. Should we talk about one of my favourites?
Who's your favourites?
Ismaila Sarr.
Oh, you like him?
I do like him. And, you know, we were linked with him last summer, weren't we? And it didn't happen. But apparently it was extremely close, according to Watford's director of football, former technical director. He said that we were extremely close to signing him. He's been linked with us again. He has 9 goals and 9 assists for Watford this season.
That's nice.
He's touted around the 40 million, maybe 50 million if you want to push it, pound mark.
I don't think it'd cost that much. I don't know what the record for... I mean, I know Watford may well come up, but I don't know what the record for a championship signing or a championship sale is. But I don't think it's near 50 million. I think it's much less than that. I mean, I'd be surprised if Watford don't get promoted. I'd be stunned if they held out for 50 million because you think Grealish was rumoured at 25, 30 million.
Well,
if
weren't
they got
Spurs going to get
relegated.
him? Remember when he was in the Championship, and Spurs went in for him about 22, and I think Villa wanted 30, which now you look at it and you think Spurs haven't made the right balls up there. Didn't go for the 30. Once he's in the Premier League and starts doing bits.
And then
so difficult.
Well, that was the rumour, wasn't it? Last season, if Villa go down, we'll get him for 35, 40.
Yeah.
If they stay up, it's 60. So I think it'd be the same with Watford. If Watford don't come up, I think you'd get Sarr for 35, 40 million.
I mean, they're 6 points clear of the playoffs.
Swansea.
Yeah, but they've played a game more than Swansea, so they're not home and dry, but they have been winning a lot of games.
Yeah, they're doing well. Swansea haven't been great.
So it's one to keep an eye on there, hopefully.
So what's he said then about Sarr coming to United? We've got a quote on that.
Oh, no, well, this was from the other day. I mean, he's been linked again, but what I noticed, this was something that came up the other day, was the former Watford technical director actually said that it was extremely close. So United were extremely close to signing Sarr. It almost happened in the summer. Because remember how we were linked with him and everyone was all eyes on Sancho, and people going, oh, Sarr's been rumoured to be an alternative. Well, apparently that nearly happened. I don't know the full details, but it looks like we had a sort of tight budget this summer. Our main chunk of money went on Van der Beek, a little bit on Alex Telles, and then long term a bit more on Diallo. I think he was 37 million, but spread out over the next 47 years or whatever it was. So again, Sarr, I like the guy. Did bits when he was in the Premier League. He's only 23, I think. So he's still very young. I just have to wait and see if that happens because it does feel still like a Sancho alternative.
I think it would be a Sancho alternative, but
Sancho's the main one.
I think that would be more of a come in and play every week Sancho alternative. I know he's coming from the Championship, so you have to. You can't say with certainty he can do it for Manchester United week in, week out. But if we're buying a 23-year-old who, let's not forget, that's 2 years older than Jadon Sancho. Yeah. That's not someone who's like, we'll get a youngster instead of Sancho. He's older than Sancho. Yeah. If we're getting a 23-year-old in for 45 to 50 million or whatever they're talking about, he has to be coming in to start every week. And 9 goals, 9 assists, whilst it's not staggering, it's decent in a Watford side and it's decent in a Championship side because unless you're a number 9 for a Championship team, it's quite rare that a player gets 20 goals, 20 assists, or 20 goals, whatever. Yeah. It's difficult to do that, and it's a tough league, the Championship. So, for me, I think it'd be a good signing. It would mark the end, I think, of the Sancho approach, which fills me with a bit of fear, because, again, I'm still holding out hope. I'm holding out hope that one of these Dortmund bastards ends up at Man United. Sancho or Haaland, we've got to get one of them.
Bellingham.
I'll take Bellingham.
Mr. MC says, I don't trust our board to buy Kane or Haaland this summer. Who do you think we will realistically sign?
I don't know, because, and this is the thing, you say realistically there as though it's definite that we will only sign someone worth 30, 40 million. I know we did that this summer with Van der Beek, but when you talk about realistic, the season before that we signed Maguire for 80. The season before that, or the 2 seasons before that maybe, we signed Lukaku for 75. Before that, Pogba for 89. Like, before that, a couple of seasons before that, Di Maria for 67 million, like you said. We have signed players that, based on what the current air around the club is, you would now deem as unrealistic. Well, Maguire signed 18 months ago for 80 million, a world record fee for a defender. And I think it's British transfer record, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, or certainly a sale within England. It's not unrealistic to think we will sign a big player because United have done that. And obviously, like you said, the owners and the board, you don't necessarily trust to spend the way that we should. But I don't think it's unrealistic to think once every 2 years United will sign someone, 60 million plus, because we have done that. Certainly in the last decade, we've signed big names for big money. So, I mean, if you want to say what is your low-level expectation, maybe a Sarr, maybe a defensive midfielder that we don't really know about, and a sort of a Danny Ings. If that's what you want in terms of, I don't have much confidence. But I genuinely think realistic would be, as you've said, one player 70 plus, and then 2 or 3 at 30. I think that is realistic. And whether that's Sancho or Haaland or Lautaro Martinez or Varane or whoever it may be, I think United will sign one big player.
We had a question sent in, actually, from Will Garford. Will's a big supporter of the channel who sent in a bit of support for us as well. He made a donation as well to the channel. He's a big supporter of us, and we appreciate that, Will. Top bloke. He sent us a question here, and he said, if we sign 3 realistic players, like a backup goalkeeper, Bissouma, Torres, and Neto or Sancho, for, say, 150 to 170 million, and sell De Gea, Lingard, Dalot, Jones, Mata, Cavani, and Romero for around 70 to 90. So have a clear out.
All those players going for 70 million.
Maybe that's...
Oh, tell me who's going out again.
Right, David De Gea, Jesse Lingard.
30, 20,
and
50.
Then, to be honest with you, that's it. Because it's
Phil
Jones,
6 million,
Mata,
56,
Cavani and Romero.
60.
Frees, aren't they? Freebies. So if you did that sort of business, do you think that's a squad that could compete for the title? And how important is keeping Pogba, in that scenario? I think that's a really good question, that Will. Thanks for that, mate.
I think keeping Paul Pogba is pretty crucial in any scenario. The way that it's turning out, and I think we're all guilty of falling for the Raiola trap a little bit. He comes out and says something, and you go, right, fuck it. Especially when, and we've been over this so many times, so I'm pretty sure a lot of people at home will know my opinion on this already. A picture of Paul Pogba dancing at a wedding doesn't bother me. No. But when he comes out and says, who knows where I'll be? I think you're right to not like that as a like, and it's the same analogy we've used before. But if your girlfriend's doing interviews on the telly, saying, "Oh, he's fit, isn't he? Danny down the road," you go, "You know what? I'm going out with Joe at the moment, but next year, who knows who I'll be going." You won't go home going, "Hey up, darling, still got a year left, haven't we? And who knows after that." No one would be happy with that situation. People like loyalty. People like security.
Danny down the road.
Yeah.
Why? What's she been saying to you?
She's been saying that, for now she's happy with me, but in a year's time we'll see.
Well, Danny out down the road look after 3 bleeding kids and see how long he gets on, yeah? Do you know what I mean? Let Danny down the road work till 11 o'clock at night on a Tuesday. Hey? Fucking Danny. Does mad, innit? Wants to move his card as well.
Yeah, he does.
Been there for months. Gathering rust. I know what you mean. You just want that, don't you?
Human beings like loyalty, and we like to feel like, I love Manchester United, I'd never want to leave. Yeah. So it's understandable when people don't like it that one of our biggest assets, one of our most favoured players, is a fan favourite, is a player favourite, is constantly being told, or we're constantly being told, he wants to leave. I can understand why people react to that and say, well, fuck off then.
Do you know what as well? Like, we didn't really... when Ronaldo did it, the only plus point in all of that, other than the fact he stayed and won us an extra title, was social media wasn't really the same. So you didn't have the Twitter thing of pro-Ronaldo, backing him no matter what. Look what he's won for us. He's just won us the Champions League. And the anti-Ronaldo, he's a disgrace. That going at it, you get that now, don't you? So when that happens with Pogba, you get, for want of a better expression, Pogba FC, and you get people who just like, I'm sick of the sight of him, get rid of him. And it's just horrible to see sometimes, you know what I mean? When it's just like, going at it. And when you try and be a bit more nuanced, like yourself, balance and say, I love Paul Pogba, I want him to stay, I wish he didn't say these things. People think like, it's like, you're like we're in war. You've got to pick a side. Can't be Switzerland.
No. So and you can't change your mind a little bit here and there and figure, you know what, at the moment I think this...
He's playing well actually, he's convinced me that we need to keep... No, because that's what you said a month ago.
Well, exactly, or a year ago.
But
over the last 6 months or so, or however long it was, 2 or 3 months even, since Raiola came out and said what he said, Paul Pogba at Manchester United is over, things have changed, and COVID has gone on a bit longer than we thought, and we have gone back into lockdown, and all these things. I know we were in lockdown then, but the extent of things has changed. Financial reports have changed. The amount of debt has changed. Factors other than exactly what Paul Pogba's doing has changed. So now, my current opinion on the situation is we need to keep hold of Paul Pogba, and we've seen how we are when he's not playing. United's midfield does struggle to hold the ball, and again, it's a lot easier to get Paul Pogba to sign a new deal than it is to sell him, first of all, for a fee that we're all happy with, because United have got a track record of not doing that, and then replace him with someone that is as good or better than Paul Pogba. And again, United have a track record of not doing that. So for me, keep hold of him if we possibly can, and then, spend in other areas, because it's going to be hard to replace Paul Pogba and then get a striker and then get a winger and then get a defensive midfielder. So, yeah, keep him if we can, I'd say.
Someone in the chat, sorry, I've just lost it.
No, go on.
I bet Danny down the road can't turn water into wine.
No. He can turn wine into fucking days off work. That's what he can turn. Oh, I can't fuck off, Danny.
And someone else
Stick your nose out of my business, will you?
A few people have asked about Danny Ings. Well, someone asked about Danny Ings.
Speaking of Danny down the road, Burnley.
Danny Ings.
Southampton now, whatever.
Whatever. It's always
still down the road.
Yeah. Would you have Danny Ings? There's a bit of a debate going on in the chat. Some people saying, well, not a lot of people saying no, actually. Danny Ings is the first comment I've read there. I think that's a bit harsh. I know where you're coming from, though. He is an ex-Scouser. I'm not too keen. Would you have Danny Ings?
I mean, let's not forget where we were. When was it? January 2020. The transfer window is ending. Final day. It's between Odion Ighalo and Josh King for who United sign. Now, you put me in that situation and you give me Danny Ings, I'd take him over either of them two.
Yeah.
Now, you remember where we were on the final day of the transfer window in the summer? It's Edinson Cavani or no one. And I don't know if I'd take Ings over Cavani, but I'd maybe take Ings over a 34-year-old Cavani going on to 35 like he will be this summer. So maybe, if that's the option, and it's going to be, Danny Ings is mentioned, or what's the striker at Newcastle called?
Callum Wilson.
I wouldn't be surprised if we link with him.
Yeah.
So if it's between Danny Ings and Haaland, no. But if it's between Danny Ings and Callum Wilson, yeah.
Do you remember when it was like transfer deadline day and it was like Josh King?
Yeah.
And we couldn't get him, we get Ighalo.
Yeah.
And I was already lukewarm about Josh King, being honest with you. I was like, really?
And then at least he knows the clause, etc.
And then it's like, we're not actually getting him.
No.
We're getting someone who's not played in the Premier League for 3 years, and when he did went 17 games without a goal.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is I'm trying my hardest to get behind these players, but I just don't think they're good enough. And it's like, it feels a little bit about like with Danny Ings, where As soon as he puts that red shirt on as a United fan, I'll get behind him. Of course I will. I want to say get behind him.
And I think he's a good finisher as well, and a good striker.
And I'll get it, as a backup row, but it's not the player I want, and it's not the player really we should be going for if we've got aspirations of a title challenge.
And let's be honest, he's of an age, what is he, 27, Danny Ings?
Yeah.
He's not particularly old, where we would be signing him 3, 4, 5-year deal, most likely, and it wouldn't be out of character or out of his sort of physical history for him to be injured for 2 or 3 of those 5 years, because he's had a horrific injury record up until recently. So it's just not worth the risk for me. But again, like you said, we sign him, I'll do a little fist pump and sing his name at Old Trafford if he's there. But he's not the ideal signing for anyone, is he? Surely.
They get away with murder, don't they, Glazers? Because the fans will get behind players.
Yeah,
and it's like
they know that. I'm glad.
No,
I'm glad we're not the sort that boo players after 2 games.
Like we will give any player a chance. And it's like it's not Edinson Cavani's fault. He's 34 or whatever.
No.
We want him to do well, and he scores a couple of goals, and we all get into it. And a fantastic chant that we had. Agallo's another one. He sort of wins us over with how enthusiastic he is, and scores some good goals as well. But these aren't the players that we need if we've got a title challenge. And, it just pains me a little bit. We'll move on quickly. I'm going to power through a few of these.
Power through, mate.
Let's
do some, what's it, quick fire?
Quick fire
Topics. Cam, get your finger on that topic button.
Marcos Llorente.
Bastard.
Yeah. Been linked with United.
Yeah.
The first thing I see when I look at this story, makes me think it ain't going to happen, is I see 103 million euros. No, actually, I'm telling lies. 103 million pounds.
Oh, even more.
So he's 26 years old. He's obviously doing really well for Atletico.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So obvious that I would say 50% of people watching, and maybe 50% of people in this room, have never heard of him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not good because we don't know him.
Yeah.
But since when has a player ever been signed for £100 million that isn't a household name? That's household name money, Jay.
Yeah.
I mean, João Felix was maybe not a household name, but was one of the most promising youngsters in the world.
Yeah.
Ousmane Dembele, same thing.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's the cream of the crop go for £100 million.
I know
City
this,
paid
right?
less than half that for Aguero, half of that for Mahrez.
I don't want to be that guy, right?
Fuck that.
Because international caps don't tell you a lot.
Especially for Spain, who are pretty stacked for midfielders.
But I'm going to say this, though.
Go on, say it.
The guy's 26.
Oh, yeah. What a great age, by the way.
Yeah, great age. Love that
An
age.
that's still very much in my rearview mirror. You may, of course, have to pay for some sort of ordnance survey map or a census to see yours.
It's been at least 3 years since I saw 26.
At least?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least. As Mino Raiola would say, of 26 years, or whatever it was.
Even those face filters where it's like old man, young man. The young man, you still look 32. Let's be honest. The old man,
we had this
skull and
conversation
crossbones,
off camera, right? We discussed it several times, and you made a promise that you've broken.
You just got skull and crossbones.
An hour into the show.
Yeah.
Listen, I will represent the elderly. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, as I was saying...
When you say represent,
yeah,
sneak into their house, nick their biscuits.
I thought you was going to go a lot darker than that, so I'll say that.
Sneaking into more than just the house.
Into their house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Sneaking into all sorts.
Those allegations were never proven.
Yeah, and that knicker drawer was open when he got there.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and do you think an old biddy can remember how many knickers she had in a drawer?
Yeah.
She was obviously confused.
She's an idiot.
Oh, I had a lot more than that before he came round. Whatever. Hey, you know what I mean?
And that was a hanky hanging out his back pocket.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, enough about me nicking old women's knickers. Let's talk about Marcos Llorente and his lack of Spanish caps, which is what I was trying to do before you accused me of breaking into old people's home and stealing underwear. He's only
got one cap.
Yeah, no, he's got 3.
He's only 3 caps.
Yeah, but for 103 million quid,
you've got more pairs
-year-old.
of stained Marks and Spencer's knickers than that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no, I haven't. Yeah, 3 cats, 103 million quid. A midfielder, yes, Pogba might be going. Yes, this guy's doing well at Atletico Madrid. Are we going to spend anywhere remotely near that for him? We really? Is he the player we want?
And it's worth remembering that Paul Pogba is rumoured to be leaving for about 60 million.
At a similar age.
And it's similar. He's 1 year older than him, and he's a worldwide notorious player, world class player, man of the match in a World Cup, sensational player, and he's meant to be £50 million more expensive than him.
Do you know what I love about this, right?
Go on.
This is, you can see it from the graphic. It says, like, we've just discussed this and how ridiculous it is and how we should do it. Athletic are adamant.
I don't know.
Llorente is eye-watering 103 million. Will have to be paid in full. Right. You've come up with a ridiculous price tag. You're not in a position to start making demands about it.
That's how a 7-year-old argues.
Yeah.
Like, oh, gives a sippy drink. All right, gives 50 grand. You're like, what? No, I'm at, like, you've just a little bit of your Fanta. That's all I'm asking for here. Like 50 grand, mate. Or gives you PlayStation then. Yeah. I'm not giving you a play. It's like, fuck off. 100 million quid. And you know what? You're paying it now. Pay it beforehand.
They'll keep him, right? And he'll go in about 2 years for about 30 million.
11 million to Barcelona.
Yeah, and then they'll be like, well, that was stupid. We could have got 100 million from him 3 years, or 50 million from him a couple of years ago, but we were too stupid to do that. I don't think I don't think that's going to happen. The chat's, I'm just seeing all sorts in the chat.
Yeah, we'll move on.
Something about old Nickers
I'll be honest, it's our fault.
Drinks off kids.
We've stained the chat. We've stained it.
Right, I'm just going to wrap up with a couple
with
more.
Our putrid words.
Sabitzer, go on, let's move on to Sabitzer. Should we skip through and move on to Sabitzer?
Do you know what this reminds me of though, Jay? And I'm not wiping my eye because I'm sad. I'm wiping it because I'm not joking, probably a teaspoon of shampoo directly in my eye today. I was in the shower, you don't need to know any more than that. Shampoo on hand, rub hands together, hands to go on top of head. As hands go on top of head, dollop falls off straight into my eye. And I'm rinsing my hands off, washing my hands, trying to wash my eye out. My eye, I was looking in the mirror, blinking. The more I blinked, my eye sudsed. That's too much soap in an eye. So I've still got a bit of soap in the eye. I'm not crying because, Sabitzer.
I'd chop my right arm off to be able to use shampoo. It's a distant memory.
You do use
shampooing, eh? No, I don't.
On your leg hairs? on your back hair?
Still waiting to grow some.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Sabitzer. RB Leipzig.
27 years old. I mean, I'm not being ageist, but these are players. It's a great age. Does this sort of fit in with what we're doing? I don't know. He's been linked with United, and apparently Tottenham are in for him as well. So great. We could be into some sort of
bidding war.
You can see from the graphic there, he can play CDM, CM, and CAM.
Wow.
So he can
Very
play anywhere.
FIFA related, them, aren't they? Through that middle trunk.
Through that middle, yeah.
And what we don't need at Man United is another versatile midfielder. We've got Fred who can play a bit of anywhere. We've got McTominay who can play a bit of anywhere. Same with Pogba. Same with Bruno. But what I'm saying is we need a specialist. We don't need, can he play at defensive mid? Yes, as long as he's next to another. Yeah. We need, if we're signing a midfielder, he needs to be an outstanding defensive midfielder that has the positioning that Matic has and the work rate and the legs that Matic used to have 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We don't need, where does he play? Anywhere, really. As long as you don't ask him to be a world-class defensive midfielder, he's all right.
Yeah.
He scores some good long-range goals. He's got a fantastic shot on him, but 4 or 5 long shot goals every season isn't enough to get into the United's team, I don't think. And he's a good player. It looks as though RB Leipzig are having a bit of a fire sale. And the point I was trying to make before that I wasn't wiping a tear about, but I am disappointed about, we know Upamecano is going to Bayern Munich. And this week, I believe Konate, his partner, is going to Liverpool, if I'm not mistaken.
For 40 million, apparently. The Scousers getting him, who's class, for 40 million. And that's
linked with United, both of them, by the way. Which
and that's worrying because we know the Scousers fell off a cliff. Not just because they lost Van Dijk, but they lost Van Dijk. I think Gomez is injured as well. Then they had to move Fabinho into defence.
So the midfield got worse.
Just the house of cards came crumbling down. They all got knackered as well, which didn't help. But you think, had they had someone like...
the Red Bull ran out, didn't it?
Well,
so to speak.
When you're asthmatic and you take lots of medicine, it just, sometimes can leave you a little bit tired. So I'm going to say, especially when your entire squad is asthmatic.
Weird, isn't it?
Some people
20 times higher than the national average per head.
Some people will call that, suspicious or corrupt. Not me, obviously. But yeah, they get Konate. That's a good signing for them. Yeah. And we expect them to do a lot better next season. So it's a bit frustrating because you think, looking at going, next season, if we don't make the signings, Liverpool do get back to the levels or near the levels they were last season. City is just City. Chelsea are obviously going to go and spend because Tuchel will come in and he'll have his own transfers in the summer as well.
And with the state of play with financial fair play sort of up in the air at the minute as well.
Well, they've given up on it, haven't they? They've given up.
Roman Abramovich might well, what was it, 250 million last summer? Don't be surprised if it's another 150, 200 this summer. And City the same. Liverpool won't spend quite as much. But again, basically, they're getting one of the best defenders in the world back, who may not be himself in Van Dijk after an injury. What is he, 29 years old, 30 years old? Knee ligament injuries aren't always, recoverable fully, but they get the midfield back as a result of that. The strengthening in defence, and who knows what's going on. So yeah, that worries me a little bit. In terms of Sabitzer, I don't think he's. I'm sure he's a decent player, and put him in United's midfield, he might well be good, but for me, that's not what I think we need in midfield. I think United need a defensive midfielder that is top class, that will break up play and distribute it to our attacking players with regularity and consistency, which is something our defensive midfielders at the minute don't seem to be able to do.
No, I agree with you. I don't think somebody is a defensive midfielder. And Fred, I mean, he's
had a tough time.
He's getting into sort of falling off a cliff form-wise, tackling it.
Yeah.
It's been a real tough couple of months, and we've seen glimpses. Like the game at the Etihad, I thought he did okay, but by and large, he's been pretty dreadful these last couple of months, and I'm beginning to think that we need someone else. He isn't going to be the player we hoped he would be. I hope I'm wrong on that front. Should we do? And I'm finally the last story on Sergio Aguero.
Bit of a juicy one, this.
Bit of a juicy one. Everyone's been chatting about Sergio Aguero. He's not died, which is what you think. Some of the posts that I've seen on social media have been a bit maudlin, a bit melodramatic.
Yeah.
But he is moving on after 10 years at the Etihad or whatever it's been.
And what has he won?
Yeah,
Nothing.
other than what, 4 league titles. Pathetic.
Everyone's won that.
Do you know what I mean? Anderson won that, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's Foot Mercado. I don't know why I said Foot. It's Foot.
Trying something out.
Yeah, Foot Mercado.
Linguistical sort of
yeah.
assault course.
Gymnastics. According to our information. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I'll take your word for it.
That's just a different way of saying according to sources.
Reports.
Yeah, reports. According to our information. Sounds a little bit more real, doesn't it? According to our information. Well, you've got information.
Yeah.
Not got sources, mate. Information.
Information.
Yeah?
None of this.
Not reports.
Yeah.
Are you stupid?
Yeah.
You've got information.
I've got a bit of information, actually. On inflammation, so my knee's achy, a bit swollen.
I told you that cream. You need to get it on there, son.
I will do.
He has already received at least 5.
Oh.
Yeah, at least. Yeah? Including this to me.
I like how they say at least 5, like we're incapable of knowing the word 8.
Yeah. It's
or
like
6.
Yeah, at least
or
5.
5.
Yeah, 5.
At least 5, maybe more. Not necessarily more, and I won't tell you how many because I don't know. I mean, you don't need to know.
Us dissecting the last time for the I'm Finally story headline always makes me chuckle.
The breakdown.
Yeah, including Inter Milan.
So
Chelsea.
sorry, start that again because I took the piss and I forgot what you said.
Right, according to our information, this is Foot Mercado, he has already received at least, this is on Sergio Aguero.
He brackets Aguero.
Yeah, Aguero. At least 5, including Inter Milan, Chelsea and United, in addition to that of PSG. Again, that's word count tackle, isn't it? So why not just say, including Inter Milan, Chelsea, United and PSG? In addition to that of.
So these are offers PSG. He's had for being able to play for those clubs next season. I
mean, our job here is to report what's being reported, not to create stories or to report.
Sometimes we create them.
Yeah, sometimes
Get
we
Romano
do.
on.
Yes, that's very true. But I don't think there's any truth to any of that. It could transpire. It could end up being true. But I very much doubt that Chelsea and United and Inter and PSG have got on the phone and started making inquiries now. I think that's a bit much.
Yeah, and who knows though? Because the rumours have been going around for a while that he's leaving. Because I think these clubs will know that he's on the way out. He may well be leaving the door at City. Obviously, that's been confirmed now. For me, again, put him on the list with next to Danny Ings. Shock.
Would you have it?
11th hour sign. Well, that's the question. That's the conversation that needs to be had, and that people in the comments need to let us know. Would you have Aguero at United? For me, I don't think I would. And it's just like the fact that one of my favourite things to do when United sign a new player, Google X highlights, YouTube, and I have to watch the goal against QPR, the goal against it, and they'll play it before United's first game of the season. They'll play it when United play City. All of these things, you have to hear about it. And here's the worst case scenario. He comes here, he's shit. He basically takes the place of someone that maybe could have been at United for 4 or 5 years. It doesn't work out, and we basically got sabotaged by City for one last year. Best case scenario, he gets. What is the best case scenario?
He wins the treble with us.
No, the best case realistic scenario is that City have a year like they did last season and United leapfrog them next season and maybe win something. But that seems unlikely. I just think it's another stopgap that has so much sort of politically and emotional ties to it that for me isn't worth it. What do you reckon?
I don't see it happening. This isn't Tevez going from United to City or Owen Hargreaves.
Yeah.
This is a player. It's been for 10 years.
One of City's greatest ever players. Maybe their greatest.
Maybe their greatest ever.
Yeah, it's like Bobby Charlton going to Liverpool.
And I just don't see him doing it. I know you can say, well, Dennis Law went to City first, don't forget, and it was a different sort of scenario. I think if he does move on, or when he does move on, I don't see him coming to United. Would I say?
Here's the question: would you have him?
100%.
He'd take him.
I would.
You'd have to hear it,
mate. No, but if I was a City fan,
Jay.
I mean, I'd be punching myself in the face every day. But
Yeah.
I'd be fuming if one of our legends who we just built a statue for went, oh right, cheers, I'm off to Old Trafford now.
Let's imagine Wayne Rooney,
that'd be
2018, when he left.
Yeah.
He goes to City or Liverpool.
Yeah.
We would be gutted.
Of course, when he went to Everton, no one gave a toss.
No, because
he was past it anyway for United levels.
Yeah.
Went back to his boy old club. They're the nice Scousers. No one cares. We all chanted his name when he came back with Everton. Not an issue. Not a drama. Didn't look at him any differently whatsoever. Right? If he'd have gone to City or the Scousers, of course you would have. Even though all the first part of what I said is true, he's still past it. It's still probably time for United level. Still probably time for him to move on. If he goes to someone you hate, your rivals, and you see him in their shirt scoring goals for them, of course you're going to be annoyed.
And what you want to do is inflict that feeling on City fans.
I want to see that welcome to Manchester sign with Aguero in red.
Oh, how good. That would be good. You know what? Maybe just for that sign.
I'll pay for that.
Jay, it's 40 grand.
What?
Sorry?
All right, when I said pay, I meant I'll paint it myself.
What's it called? Do you take check protection card? What's it called? Check
guarantee.
Do you take check guarantee, good sir? You don't. Interesting.
I need a big, yeah.
Let me just toss that away and...
We'll
sprinting away.
Well, I said I'll pay for that. I'll Photoshop it onto a picture already. I'd have that. You'd have him.
What people in the comments saying? Would they have Aguero?
Well, Cameron S said nothing would make me happier than seeing City fans melting down at seeing Aguero win a Champions League at United.
See, what I didn't think of, I thought of it from my perspective, what it means to me. Yeah. I didn't think of what we're inflicting on others by doing this.
No.
And from a vengeful perspective, from a...
You know me. That's what kind of gets me up in the morning, is pettiness, vengefulness, shithousery. So I would be like, that would be funny. Even if he came and sat on the bench, it'd be
he's only 32. He's not 35, 36. He's still got at least a year or two.
By the way, I don't think he's coming to Old Trafford. It's not going to happen. I just think it'd be funny. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because it is one of their legends. And they haven't got a lot of legends, to be fair.
Thinking about it, I have honestly a little nervous feeling in my stomach, like I don't know. That's why I think I can't. I have to say I don't want it, because my body is feeling I don't like this. Why? He's not for us. He's theirs. He's too much that way. He's too City. I honestly think he might be a sleeper agent. He might come over, kick Pogba in training, stand on Ollie's toe, put a little poison in De Gea's gloves so his fingers turn into...
Nick socks out of the changing room, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think he
keep
might be.
Ringing your phone and then hanging up.
Yeah, still on the payroll at City. Who's put my stapler in a jelly again?
Has anyone seen my car keys?
Yeah.
No. Sergio's got him.
Yeah.
He's hid him in the toilet.
Yeah. Back when I'm in the toilet, up his arse. And there's only one person that can get him. You. With your nose.
So, Sergio Aguero sticking car keys up his arse is probably a good place to wrap this show up. I think we've covered all the serious news in our usual manner. Thanks for everyone who got involved in the chat, in the conversation. Thanks for everyone who gave us a like and who subscribed. If you're not subscribing, make sure you are subscribing to the channel.
If he clenches, he can unlock it.
What? Can you do the beep beep thing? Yeah. And he sort of stood in the corner, smiling, laughing.
We shouldn't have signed you, you bastard.
We'll wait and see whether any of that happens. But make sure you are subscribing. Also, we have got lots of content.
Loads of stuff coming out.
Coming up this week. Yeah. What have we got?
We've got a debate coming out, whether United should sign Sancho or Haaland. We've got Housen and McCullough. That's coming back very soon as well.
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember them too.
Got a Tier 1 transfer podcast with a very special guest.
Go on, I'll go for it. We're going to speak to Henry Winter in the morning.
Chief reporter, chief football writer at the Times.
At the Times, so he's a good mate of the channel. He's been on a few times. We're going to be asking him about, obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We'll ask him about Sergio Aguero as well, because a lot of debate going on about not just whether he'll come United, where does he stand in the list of all-time great Premier League strikers, and there's obviously a few United ones in there. So we'll see what he thinks about that, and we'll get his view on some of the rumours we've spoken about tonight, some of the stories we've spoken about tonight. So make sure you check out the Tier 1 podcast. That'll be out tomorrow afternoon.
And also, make sure if you're not a member, join and become a member because we've got a fantastic video coming out. Joe's Barbershop was opened one time only. I gave out the haircut of a lifetime to young mitts. If you want to check that out, the members will be able to see that. Join, you help out the channel, and you get extra content as well. Like I said, I've cut Mitts' hair.
And if you watch
it's a watch. It's an absolute watch, that video. Check it out.
If you're watching Mitts, I'll come and see you soon. He's not been in the office for a few days. We miss him.
We glued most of it back on.
You're doing the news in the morning, aren't you, son?
I'll be here with the news in the morning. Yeah, make sure you check that out. 10:30 a.m. live here at the Stretford Paddock HQ, I guess.
And when are me and thee back on this?
Thursday.
Thursday night.
That's like 8 different video plugs we've just done there. If you're confused, just check out the channel. There's loads of stuff going on.
Subscribe and hit notification, then you won't have to listen to us telling you all about it because it'll come up.
Hit the notification bell
on your phone. That's been Joe Smith. Check him out, Joe Smith 93. I've been Jay Motti. This has been Stretford Paddock Transfers Live. Thanks for watching.